Tick-tock time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. Your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood. And with me now, I've got the ultimate meme machine, Jai.
What's up, everybody?
Hey,
Yes,
you made quite the meme, and we could tell once it was hitting like 700,000 that it was going to hit a million views on its first
yeah,
day, and then it actually went past that, and now it's at 2.1 million. And
two
this wasn't just
billion.
people who were super excited about an awesome meme. This was Muslims flipping out.
Yep,
They were kind of losing it, man.
they were.
And and
Yeah,
and and is it just me, or are they saying some really, really, really dumb stuff?
they're still on the Dawa script from like way back in the day when it comes to the Quran. And I was thinking about this. I was talking earlier with Chris in Speaker's Corner, and I was thinking we were like kind of talking about this because of the amount of responses from the Muslims. And I was saying like I think when we saw Yasser Qadi in that interview, we thought like okay, like it's over, it's done now. The Dawa guys have abandoned the argument, but what we kind of underestimated was that this did not translate into the Muslim world on like the average level. So while you're not going to have Dawa guys arguing for this anymore, your average Muslim still believes it. So they haven't updated the Dawa script. Like Yasser Qali's videos didn't go into like the mosques, and like your average Muslim doesn't know that he debunked the standard narrative.
Yeah, and that is an issue, that they can spread a lie, and they can spread a lie for
Yeah.
years until almost every Muslim believes the lie. And then when they eventually come out and admit that it's a lie, we think, aha, cool, we're done with this. Wrong, because you have 2 billion people who still believe the lie. And then,
Yeah.
even if a bunch of people make videos and a bunch of Muslim scholars and Dawa guys eventually start admitting things, okay, now you got a million people who don't believe the lie. You still got almost 2 billion who believe the lie still. And so lots of work. And that's where memes come in handy. Memes come in
Yeah.
handy because they spread around. Then people jump out there and they start, ho ho, and they tell the lie that they grew up on, that they grew up hearing. And so, what we want to do with this live stream, guys, is give you a little live stream to share with all the people who are saying no. You got a couple different people. You got people who are still clinging to the original lie from, like, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that there's only one Quran. There are no textual variants between any two Qurans on the entire planet.
Right.
I've got a clip of Yasser Qadi saying that when he's talking to a popular audience, right? And so he was just flat out, that was just flat out lying. He knew it was a lie, but he still told it because it was just, you had to. You told people this lie, and you
Mhm.
couldn't say otherwise, because then they'd accuse you of being a heretic and so on. Eventually, he had to admit that there were holes in the narrative, and
Yeah.
then the Dawa guys stopped using the perfect preservation argument, but lots of Muslims believed it. And then when Muslims started finding out that there were textual variants and so on, then the next Dawa lie came to calm them down. It's, oh, no, 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 it's just differences in dialect and pronunciation. That's all it is. And then the people went, oh, that's all these people are complaining about, different dialects. Is that what we were complaining about, Jai?
No, that's not at all what we're talking about at all. And so this is what also happened as well. So a lot of times you'll have like academics, like non-Muslim academics, who comment on these issues, like Marian Van Putten or Sean Anthony. They're like very accessible on X. People, a lot of people just like tweet them and they'll respond. They're very accessible scholars of Islam, and they talk about like the variants and things like that. And so a lot of times because they see our responses, they're thinking, well, why are these guys like arguing against something that Muslim scholars don't say? Muslim scholars aren't saying these things. And we're like, yeah, we're not talking to Muslim scholars. We're talking to the Dawa guys who are not saying what the scholars are saying. If they were saying what the scholars were saying, we would still take issue with a lot of what they say and some of the conclusions they arrive at. But we're talking to the guys who are saying there's no such thing as a variant reading at all. So while it might be the case that like every scholar of Islam says that there's variant readings and things like that, but that doesn't mean that that's what you're like. If you take like 100 Muslims and only one was a scholar, like 99 of them are going to say there's only one Quran. Okay, maybe not 99, but like 97 of them.
I would
And then,
guess if you just got a random group of Muslims, you would still probably have 90 out of 100. If you took 100 randomly selected Muslims, probably 90 of them would still say no textual variance. There's not one letter of difference between any two Qurans anywhere in history. Complete nonsense. Yeah. Then another 9 of them will have absorbed the next Dawah lie, which is that they're just differences in dialect and so on. And you might get 1 out of 100 who has some clue that that's more than just dialectical differences, that they actually have differences in meaning and so on. And so, guys, that's kind of that's actually
the next level, because a lot of times what they say is like there's differences in dialect. What they mean by that is like, it's like if someone like in the UK, like with a British accent, says something versus an American accent. So they're not even talking about, so a lot of them aren't even talking about meaning there. They're just saying like, oh, it's like an Australian accent or an American accent, or like a Southern accent and like a New York accent, but so it's like they're saying the meaning is still the same, it's just different pronunciations or something. Then there's another level, which is, okay, yeah, there are differences in meaning, but then the next part is, but they don't contradict. They just supplement each other. They complement each other. They add to the beauty or whatever, but they don't contradict. And then you show contradictions, and then I actually haven't had a response to that one yet. So I don't know the next level of Dawah. I don't know the next level of Dawah script after the contradictions one.
Yeah. So the basic, and this is what's shocking to us, guys. And the shocking part is that there will be Muslims watching this, and they won't be bothered by any of this, right? So their scholars and leaders and Dawah guys for years told them that the Quran has been perfectly preserved, dot for dot, letter for letter, not one letter's worth of difference between any two Qurans in history. That was a complete lie. It is an absolute, undisputed, grade A lie, right? And we'll expose this over time. And you had a bunch of different directions that we've gone in historically. Like me and Nabil, we just focused on like going through what their sources say about entire chapters coming up missing because Muslims were too lazy to recite them. It's in Sahih Muslim. Muslims don't read it for some reason, but entire chapters coming up missing. Large passages coming up missing. Ubay ibn Ka'b said that over 200 verses were lost just from Surah 33. You have verses coming up missing. You have verses being eaten by a sheep. You have parts of verses dropping out and so on. This is what you find in their sources, and yet they're telling you, nope, perfect preservation from the time of Muhammad down to the present. Complete nonsense. So you had that. Then you had like Dan Brubaker and guys like that who would go through the manuscripts, and they're putting manuscripts side by side and saying, okay, this is different, this is different. Look, you can see where a correction was made to bring this one in line with this one. And so they're comparing manuscripts, Quran manuscripts. Then you have the third direction, which is looking at different Qurans in different parts of the world today. And Hatun is the one who kind of made that mainstream just by showing up to Speaker's Corner with 26 different Arabic Qurans. Those of you who are watching, no, just different translations like the NIV and the KJV. No, different Arabic Qurans. And she's holding them up. Is that word the same as that word in your two Qurans that have not one letter of difference between them? And what's amazing is Muslims will go back to the same guys who lied to them every single time, right?
Yes.
So they hear from a group of people all their lives, not one letter of difference between any two Qurans in history. And they'll go, oh, wow, what a great religion. This is a miracle. And then we'll show them, actually, no, you have differences here. They'll go back to the same guys who lied to them. Hey, they're pointing out that there are differences. What's going on? And then it's, oh, yes, they're stupid. They don't understand. There are differences in dialect and accent. That's it. That's all. And they'll come back to us and they'll go, you stupid morons. It's just differences in dialects and accents. It's like, okay, well, if there's textual differences in there, it wouldn't make any difference as far as if it were just dialects, it would still have exposed the lie that there's not one letter of difference, right?
Right.
But in fact, that's not what we're talking about. We have differences in meaning here. This variant changes the meaning of the entire verse. And then they go back, but they're pointing out it's not just dialect, it's differences in meaning. And then it's, ha ha, these stupid idiots, they don't realize, yes, there are differences in meaning, but they complement each other because Allah revealed it in these different ways to give a deeper meaning. And that's why it complements each other. And they come back, ha ha, you idiots, it's just differences. Yes, it's differences in meaning, but they complement each other. And it's like, okay, even if we were to grant that, it would still expose the most recent lie you were told, that it's just dialect differences that don't affect meaning, right? But then we'll go on to show, no, in fact, it's not just differences. It's not just differences in meaning that complement each other. It's meanings that actually contradict each other. And then they'll go back to the exact same guys. What do we say now? And it's, at what point do you realize you shouldn't be going back to people who do nothing but lie to you? Why is this normal in your religion? If I went to my favorite Christian apologist and he told me some nonsense, then I went out and used it, and then I got embarrassed, and then I go back to him, I'm not going to say, oh, tell me another lie. I'm not going to you anymore. I'm not listening to you anymore, man. You just told me, you just filled my head with lies, and I went out and used them, and then I look like an idiot. Not so in Islam. Exactly. The rule in Islam is, a lie that makes you feel better about Islam is better than the truth. And that's just what it is. So they're actually going to people looking for the next lie to make them feel good about their religion. And it's just, why doesn't the truth make you feel good about your religion?
Exactly. Yeah. And so like, I've had that exact experience with Muslims so many times over the years. There have been like these different like platforms where you can talk like Clubhouse, or, not exactly like TikTok. It's more of like, interactive in like a more private kind of way, I guess, like where you have like, let's say you set a topic and then whoever's interested in the topic comes in. So we would have like, Muslim Christian discussions, and sometimes you get to know people because you talk to them like, for like months or whatever. One guy I was talking to, I don't remember if it was on that platform or another platform, but it was something like that where we were just talking about this for a long time, over voice as well. He would keep going back to his mosque and keep asking the sheikh, keep asking them the questions over and over again. Eventually it got to the point where they just don't want you to talk anymore to people like us. They say, just don't talk to them anymore. But they that's how they do. They start by like these little, like, oh yeah, like that. That's like the, okay, yeah, there are differences, but, and then it goes on. It's like, well, wait a minute. This is the same guy who just told you last week like that there's no differences at all, and now you're showing him that there are differences. Because what I would do is I would show him like websites where you can show this Quran says this Quran says that. It got to the point where one of the guys said, no, you're actually just doing Photoshop on the website. That's not what that's not the. So I gave him the link to the website, and he goes, no, I don't really trust the website. I think it's a Christian website. And then I had there's like a recording of like the different sheikhs like who recite the Qurans. So I played the recording. The sheikh starts reciting the Quran, and then you hear him saying one way. Then the other recording, the sheikh says the other way. He says, no, what you did was you chopped it up where like he was saying something in another verse and you put it there. I'm like, do you even know how impossible that would be? Because he sounds like he's about to say anyway. They just come up with all these different excuses, and I've had that conversation with Muslims time and time again. But there are times when, like, I remember there was a younger Muslim who was kind of getting into these issues, and he seemed to be like this, just as an example, like he was more open. I've had others who are, they say they're going to come back and they never come back. But I remember one guy specifically. It was like a group setting where there was like a lot of Muslims who were basically arguing against the point that, there's differences and all this other stuff. And he was kind of more open to it. Like, what's the evidence? So what they ended up saying to him was, well, see, Gabriel just came one time and said it like this. And then he came another time and said it like this. And another time he said it like this. And when we started going to the specific differences, it would be like in English, it would be like, say, my Lord, versus he said, my Lord. And so he's thinking like, why would Gabriel come one time and say, my Lord, and then another time said, he said, my Lord? Like, it would make more sense if like the scribe just like made a mistake, or whoever's, remembered it the wrong way. Like, is it qul or qala? Like in Arabic, it's like what's more like reasonable? And that conversation stuck out because, a lot of times you do have Muslims where, they question this and it creates a big problem for them, but you don't always see like kind of the updates of what was going on. This is one where I saw the updates, and yeah, he didn't accept the standard narrative, and I don't know where he's at today because I don't keep in touch with these. But like it's just the standard thing. It's a standard thing that all Muslims are taught something, and then they go back to whoever taught them that thing. They're lied to by that same person. They keep going back to them over and over and over again. And it's very rare, but sometimes they do question it, and sometimes they do leave it. But
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, so that's why we keep doing it. They do eventually question it, but it seems like a minority, right? Like people will like,
yeah,
so we're we're basically understanding that, if we actually go through and expose the lies to 100 people, a couple of them are after a while going to catch on,
yeah,
and go and realize it. And we will keep doing this work for the few that actually pay attention. But
yeah.
I mean, it is just such a weird thing. Like you were talking about, guys saying, "Oh, maybe that's a Christian website. Oh, you're changing that." So after when Hatun showed up with 26 different Qurans, we were all, because that went viral. That went viral.
Yeah.
That video clip. I would actually see Muslims in the comment section going, "No, no, no, she's printing them herself with the variants," and it's like, really? So there's like one real Quran, and then she's printing 25 others with differences, and that it's just like they can't believe it when you put it in front of their faces. And
Yeah.
so they're still believing the person who lied to them their entire lives. And it's like this is a massively dysfunctional religion. So guys, here's what we want to do, and we're going to do this in more sophisticated. Jai's out of town right now. DOC is also out of town for those of you who are asking. Anyway, once we're all back in the same spot, we will make nicer, more sophisticated material to use on this issue. But right now, we're providing this here, and you can either share this live stream when people know it's just different dialects and pronunciations, you dummies, right? You can share this. You can share clips from this, so you can take clips that you like, share those clips in response. You can take screenshots, however you want to do it. But we're providing this now. Once Jai gets back, we're going to start cranking out short videos and then like some collections. So we'll have like a short video that's just on one textual variant. This version says this version says this. Here's the difference in the Arabic. Here's the difference in the meaning. And boom, that's a nice little short video for people to share. But we'll also have like, collections, like here are 10 Quran variants and stuff. And we'll go through batches of 10. But right before we went live, I was pointing out, the process. You come up with a meme. The meme gets millions of views, and then you get the objections. And what do we need? We need we start seeing people go in and respond to the objections.
Yes.
And so we want to equip the people who are going in and responding to the objections, because guess what? There are lots of Muslims who this is just what they heard all their lives, and they actually don't know. They're not deliberately lying. They're repeating the lie that they were told. So they're kind of a victim of the lie. They fell for the lie. Well, we want to tell them the truth. And so we want people to have material to share with people. And basically, then they have the accurate information in front of them, and hopefully they realize they've been lied to and so on. And again, a ton of them will just go believe the next lie and stuff like that. Some of them will actually pay attention and realize, wait a minute, I've been listening to these guys all my life, and they've been lying to me this entire time. Yeah. And those people will be on their way out of Islam. But right before we started, Jai was saying, that's when he realized the Islamic dilemma was turning the tide. It's when he saw just people using it in the comment section in response to Muslims who are raising objections and so on.
Yeah.
And that just Christians in general in the comment section were able to use the Islamic dilemma and respond to the things. That's when he realized this is becoming mainstream right now. Anyway, that's what we want to do with on this topic, guys, on this topic.
And by the way, so for those of you who are interested to kind of like interact with Muslims on this, you just click on the link in the description, click on, and you'll see so many comments. You guys can just start practicing the responses. Like you're going to see like hundreds and hundreds of Muslims who are just saying the lies. And you can just take one thing from the stream, or maybe you already have the knowledge, the information, just go there and write a response. And that way, there's because sometimes people will go through the conversations and they'll see, oh, this person interacting with this person, and they'll kind of like, they won't necessarily comment, but they'll be watching. So you might reach people with you like without even realizing. You don't even know who is going to be watching out for your reply. So even if the person you're talking to like directly is kind of just like in bot mode or whatever, they're in script mode, someone else might be watching who is keeping up the conversation, and they see the evidences you're giving or whatever. And yeah, so so yeah, anyway, if you guys wanted to practice the information or use it in like your ministry, your outreach to Muslims, there's a whole thousands of responses to the meme you guys can practice on to a bunch of people with.
And we have Jai looks angelic. Yeah, guys, Jai actually is sitting right in front of a big bright window and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so he looks a little different today with it, and he's got it green. He's got it green screened out. Anyway, so yeah, we'll take these first, guys. As far as super chats are going to kind of burn through them quickly. Not going to be taking a lot of time, especially if things are off topic. If they're on topic, we'll definitely look into these. But we're going to take a look at the meme, and we're going to take a look at some Muslim responses, and then Jai's got some awesome material that oddly exposes the lies of the Dawa guys. Here we have absolutely brilliant, the Islamic Dilemma Al-Zut song video. Thanks, Malik, for this creative inspiration. Malik, yep, that is awesome times. And Malik has done a great job destroying Dawa this year. God Logic, Big John, and D Wood, all live at the same time. Shaking my head, but you're in the right spot here. Be careful, Jai. They now know how white you are.
That reminds me. We're gonna when we start doing TikTok, we're gonna start putting out content in Arabic too. So yeah, Arabs get like fascinated when they see, someone with white skin speaking in Arabic. So we're thinking it's gonna be something kind of a hit, hopefully. So we're gonna try that on TikTok.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
some
think it'll
Arabic
be good.
content.
We have I like memes. We have God bless you. Hey, brother, thanks. And there are no differences. There are no differences except for the differences. That is basically it.
Yeah.
Allah,
No differences
Allah
ever
only
been
made it appear like Quran was the truth. Or you could say that should be their next objection. Allah's only tricking these Christians into thinking they're all these textual variants. Allah is only tricking Christians into thinking there's an Islamic dilemma. It seems like where you'd go with the objection. All right, guys. So let me go ahead and pull this meme up so you can check this out.
I had no idea this was going to take off, by the way, guys. I sent it to a group chat that David's in with myself, and I was like, hey, guys, I'm working on this right now. I was like, I think it needs some work, but pretty much the general idea is there. And I didn't get back to working on it. I just like sent it as it was. I didn't know it was going to turn into this, but this wasn't like meant to be the final product. This was just, I guess it did. I guess it spoke for
worked.
itself.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked. So, so we have the famous clown makeup meme where someone is becoming progressively more clown-ish. But at the top, they're objecting to the Trinity. 3 gods. It's 3 gods, but 1 Quran. Get it? So they're saying, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit would be 3 gods. And they say, but 1 Quran. And that's funny because you got the Hafs Quran as the 1 Quran. And that is what most Muslim. What's funny is, as far as I can tell, the reason the Hafs Quran became the main Quran is just that was the favored version of the Ottoman Empire, which was the most recent caliphate. And since it was the most recent caliphate, their version was the one that was used most frequently. And then after a while, Muslims just thought, "Hey, this is the only Quran." Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that's basically the history of it as well. But through history, you did have other Qurans that were more popular. Hafs, actually, funny enough, Hafs was very unpopular, at least from what we can tell at like the very early stages. It's not popular until later. So it's kind of interesting how like at the very beginning, like when you look at the manuscripts and things like that, Hafs is not popular at all amongst the Muslims. But yeah, it ended up becoming the popular one.
Poor Hafs, man. Poor Hafs. But that's what you get for being known as a liar and a thief, as Hafs was. Anyway, so we'll check out the meme, guys. So, the Trinity of 3 gods, but there's only 1 Quran. Okay, that's already stupid. That's already stupid when you say it, because we know there's more than 1 Quran. And then you got the Hafs and the Warsh here. So, Nope, it's still one. What's funny is like the Muslims who responded just like became the meme. You know what I mean? They're like,
Yeah,
no, it's all
exactly.
one. It's the exact same thing. They're the same thing.
Yeah, Muslim Cowboy, he actually became the meme. He's like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's right. He's-
And then we've
oh,
got
God.
Hafs, Warsh, and Kaloon. Nope, it's one. And then
Yep.
and then even
That's
after,
meant to be all 20. I didn't actually count it. That's meant to be all 20 of the readings there.
let's see,
But
one,
yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 11, 12, 13, 14,
Oh,
15, 16, 17, 8. You only got 18, man.
oh, okay.
Fix
Was
your
meant to be
meme, dude.
yeah. I guess ChatGPT couldn't fit all 20 in there, but that was meant to be 20. But yeah, the idea is there that you know, uh, so the idea with like the Trinity was I just watched a debate on IP's channel with Fearless Truth. He was debating on the Trinity, and so you like it's very clear like as Christians we make categorical differences when we're talking about the Trinity, like really like being, essence, and then you have like persons, different categories. So we're not saying three persons is one person, or we're not saying three gods is one god. It's three persons that all share the one divine essence, one divine nature. So that's on the Trinity side, like at the first part of the meme. And and he's like, oh, that's actually three gods, like ignoring the categorical differences and things that we
Hmm.
clarify and technical differences that they just ignore. But then when it comes to the Quran, yeah, it kind of speaks for itself there. So
Yeah, and it is.
I saw like a tweet from you. You were responding to some guy, and I was gonna actually respond to that guy too with this, but I was like, I'm just gonna put it on its own thing. But basically, there was some Muslim who was saying to you, like that you saw, he was saying like one of the myths that's often popularized is that there's more than one Quran, and you were basically just like, dude, stop repeating the same Dawa script. Like it's been debunked over and over again. So I saw that, and that's what kind of like I put those two together. I was like, okay, just watch the debate on the Trinity. I'm just seeing this now, so like I just put the meme together after that.
And as far as the point you were making about like different categories, we say that God is one in essence or being or nature and more than one in person. And they say, no, you can't be. What's the objection? You can't be one in one way, more than one in another way. That's just stupid. But then, when you put up different Qurans, even if they were to just go, oh, it's just different dialects, okay, that would refute at least that silly claim that something can't be one in one way more than one in another way, because you'd say the Quran is one on the level of essence or something like that, but more than one in dialect. You'd say something like that in order to justify your point. But anyway, the point is, then eventually you get to Qurans that have different meanings and so on, and well, it's still one Quran. Okay, well, I mean, you've got differences in meaning that are even telling you different things to do, and you
Yeah.
have verses that you even end up with contradictions and so on, but it's all one. Okay, so what's your objection to something being one in one way more than one in another way? It's getting pretty weird. It's getting pretty weird. But all right, let's go ahead and
Yeah.
check out some of the responses here.
Yes, I've thought about this as we go through the responses. I've thought about I've tried to think about this issue like the one Quran, many Qurans. I've tried to think about it in terms of like theological heresies that we see arising in the early church, and like heresies that people had to were like corrected on, or if they weren't correcting them, they were excommunicated on, or they were no longer classified as Christians. And so one of them would be like something like partialism, like God is made up of different parts, and so like this is like a third of God, this is a third of God, and that's not how we think about the Trinity. That's not how we like explain it or define it. But I was thinking like if you think about the Quran in that way, like if you were to respond to this kind of like, well, you guys have one Quran and more than one Quran. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, if you're saying Hafs is like part of the Quran and
Yep.
Warsh is like a part of the Quran, and you just kind of keep, these are all different parts, you're going to come to the same errors, which is why these ended up becoming heresies in Christianity, and it's going to make it very problematic. Then you have other like heresies as well that like I guess like a modalism type of heresy. Like you're going to see all sorts of different
Hmm.
responses. So one day I was just thinking about it in that light of like theological heresies, and then thinking of the Quran, oneness of the Quran in that way as well. Like, what do you mean when you say one Quran? And then you'll see the responses now, and maybe that's something we can develop in the future in like videos or something like that. But we'll get like a theologian on or something, and they kind of like explain like different heresies relating to God. That this is not an explanation of the Trinity, but this is what people said they were wrong. And now Muslims have the same problem when they answer this way or answer that way.
Yeah, and as far as think about something like partialism. Once we show no, this Quran verse says this and this. Matter of fact, it doesn't even have to be any with like a contradiction, right?
Yeah.
So if you just go with like just Surat Al-Fatiha, right? So you got some versions that say king and others that say owner, right? And they'll say, oh, those complement each other, right? Because you can be king and owner, and it's giving you a broader understanding of a law. Where you look at it, and it's like, isn't it way more likely that someone just made a tiny little mistake and it ended up with a different? Isn't that way more likely than that Allah would give these different words with different meanings, but just happen to be very, very similar? No. He revealed it in these different ways. So as far as like partialism goes, what you'd be saying is like Malik is like part of it, and owner. I mean, so king is part of it, and owner is part of it, and you put them together, and they sort of add up to the real Quran. So no one actually has like the whole real Quran. You guys all have little parts of it here and there. And you put it all together, and then you maybe you have a bunch of it, but some of it's been lost forever, and so we're ended up with some weird stuff here.
Yeah.
Hang on, where'd that guy go? There was a Muslim complaining. Let me see.
Oh, of course.
No, he's complaining. Oh, Jesus didn't tell you to attack other religions. Like what?
Oh, okay.
What?
Wow,
Dude. Where are you getting that from? I mean, Allah spends quite a bit of the Quran attacking everyone else's religions.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it. So if you believe that criticizing other religions is just off limits to a prophet, okay, then Muhammad's a false prophet, according to you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's Abu the edit says Jesus probably didn't tell you to disrespect and make fun of other religions. Really?
I mean, I don't even think we even started yet, really, with this. We're just kind of giving introductory on. Did we say anything anything off the wall yet? We didn't even say anything in terms of like insults or anything like that. We didn't say anything. We're saying this is what Muslims say, and this is what other Muslims say.
Yeah.
We weren't saying like they're stupid for saying that or something. We're just saying like that's just what they say.
Yeah. So our Muslim friend, what are we doing here? We're exposing lies. Was Jesus in favor of exposing lies, or was he in favor of people just believing any lie that any hypocritical religious leader tells them? Because if you think Jesus likes lies, and no, don't ever expose lies, don't ever expose hypocrisy. Yeah, you probably have your own idea of Jesus that doesn't line up with reality. Shocker. All right, let's go ahead. Here we have the comment down at the bottom. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. Hey, you could make another meme that's along those lines. Like the guy keeps saying, but they add up to the one Quran. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. That's funny.
Yeah, that's another way to do it, right? At
the Trinity level,
first.
he go, whoa, 1 + 1 + 1 equals 1. Ho, ho, ho.
And then you like just have fun with all the different Qurans.
Yeah, you could have the Qurans and one Quran plus one Quran plus one Quran. It's one.
Or you can like really complicate it. But I mean, I guess the thing with memes, like the beauty in them is like just keeping things simple. But if you really want to complicate it, you could put ahruf in there and then qira'at in there, and then you could it could like really mess things up with that. Oh, by the way, so in the meme, there's also a link to a video that David did that you did. I don't remember when, but it's like basically exactly what we're talking about here. You kind of just break down like the 1 + 1 + 1 equal, like, kind of fallacies that the Muslims say, and then you apply it to the Quran in the different versions of the Quran. So that's like another way to kind of respond to this as well. Just give them that video, give them that link.
All right, guys, so let's check out some of the responses here. So this is Jai's meme if you're just tuning in. So Muslim says, haha, Trinity is 3 gods, but there's only one Quran. What about Hafs and Warsh? So it's still one. What about Hafs, Warsh, and Kalun? Still one. And eventually saying all these different Qurans are just one. All right.
He's
So,
got the oneness finger as well. I had to
yep.
throw that in
hmm
there.
And then Jai's got a link to my video there. He laughed at the Trinity until I said, and look, we have the Muslim cowboy. Notice I can't even respond. He's blocked me. He says, that's actually right. All the readings of the one harmonious Quran that has never been changed. Yahoo! Really. Entire chapters lost. Large passages lost. Verses eaten by a sheep. Words missing. Phrases missing. Never
Yeah.
any change. Never any change. Because but here's what's disturbing. Look at that. 5,600 likes.
Yeah, he became the meme.
That's
He
what I
became
mean.
the meme. And so I was thinking about like just I don't really post a lot of memes, but I'm thinking now it might be an effective way to communicate these points. So I was
Darn
thinking
right.
like in response to this, like the Muslim cowboy, imagine you're like at like an optician's office, like an eye doctor or something like that, and it's like, so how many how many books do you see?
Oh,
It's like
there you
one
go.
Quran, and then you just you just do like 50 books, and then like I still see one, I still see one. That kind of it would, I don't know, just kind of illustrate how ridiculous this is.
Yeah,
So
the memes spread rapidly. So
yeah.
yeah, we'll coordinate it to where the release of
Mhm.
your epic meme. We've already got the videos ready and stuff like that for when they start responding to it. Also, as they're lying more and coming up with dumb responses, we can make videos responding to all their objections and so on,
Oh yeah.
and just keep repeating. So here's the Muslim cowboy who thinks there's only one Quran, just like the guy in the meme. You could remake that meme just with the Muslim cowboy putting on clown makeup.
Yeah. Yeah, ChatGPT can easily do that. Just turn Muslim cowboy into the clown, the evolving clown.
Oh, and here you
Oh,
have
this is a
this one.
funny one here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny. When you don't understand Arabic and try to make memes still. Wait a minute. Jai, are you ignorant of the Arabic on these variants?
No, I can give you examples and show you the differences in the Arabic. And I think if you click on the comments, someone even says that as well. I don't remember, but there's a bunch of people saying that same thing. They're like,
Yep.
"Tell me don't know Arabic without telling me you don't know Arabic."
Oh, you don't know Arabic. You're so dumb. But he does know Arabic. Oh, well, let me use my next one. Hey, look, then we had Swiss Apologetics. He said the 5 pillars of Islamic excuses. Now,
Oh
here's
yeah,
what.
that's a good one.
And so tahrif and abrogation and so on. What's interesting is you could make this the 5 pillars of dawah, but you can
Oh
make
yeah.
the D. I've done it before where I made the D stand for something and the A stand for something, but a couple of those are just like a couple of those are perfect, right? Like the Arabic and
Mhm.
abrogation, that's 2 of the A's in dawah,
Yeah.
abrogation and Arabic. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that
I
would
know
be
the
good.
D's you can do a ton, like deflect,
Yeah.
dodge,
You got to
deception.
dodge,
You can
dip, duck, dive, and dodge.
do yeah, the 5 Ds
Um,
of Dawa.
um,
Oh boy.
oh, the W, whataboutism, right?
Oh yeah, whataboutism?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to go with whataboutism for the W.
Mm.
Let's see. Look at this. Matter of fact, speaking of
Oh yeah.
whataboutism, look at this. Another
Yeah.
BS attempt to find an excuse to feel better about going to hell. One, Quran. Those are different types of reciting methods. Hey, super partisan. Um, are you stupid? Now. By the way, look at this. So one, they're different types of reciting methods, and then he goes list of pagan celebrations in Christianity. Saturnalia. No, we don't celebrate Saturnalia. So there you don't. Solar. No, we don't do that either. Easter. Now look, he has Easter twice, just with different spellings.
Oh yeah.
And then he
Yeah,
has
I think IP chimed in on this. He gave like a link where he like debunks like all these. Like,
yeah, yeah, total nonsense. But anyway, oh my goodness, so dumb. Quran. Those are different types of reciting methods. Yeah, we're going to see. So your different reciting methods involve contradictions, apparently. And we have because that's why. Let's see. These slightly different ways of readings are due the variations of pronunciation amongst Arabian tribes and were endorsed by the Prophet Muhammad himself. Bull. There were differences that were endorsed by Muhammad. That's when people caught him, right? That's when people were coming to him and reciting the Quran differently. He's like, yes, Allah revealed it in these different ways. That doesn't give you the stamp of approval on variants that came about later. And I mean, just think, they think, okay, so one, it was already ad hoc, right? Muhammad's companions, and this is after the conquest of Mecca. This was after the conquest of Mecca. Hang on, let me pull this up real quick again. This was after the conquest of Mecca. So you're talking the last couple of years of Islam. And you've got Muslims coming up to Muhammad ready to fight because I'm reciting the Quran, this guy's reciting the Quran, and we're reciting it differently, and I'm saying he's wrong, and he's saying he heard it from you. Correct him, Muhammad. And they're ready to get violent over this. And Muhammad's like, no, Allah revealed it in this way. And yeah, Allah revealed it in that way. And they're both like, what? So think about this. They're like, oh, yeah, he revealed it in all these different dialects. And none of his companions had any clue about it until the very end of Islam. And then suddenly, oh, yes, he's been revealing it in all these different ways the entire time. Like, what's more likely? This guy heard it from Muhammad and Muhammad actually messed it up. He did it a little different. Or that Allah the entire time was revealing it in all these different ways and no one ever heard one word about it. That's what I mean. Notice that's where it starts. It started with Muhammad coming up with like completely idiotic explanations for something that should have been pretty straightforward. Oh yeah, I did tell him like that. It's okay. You know, I'm an old man. My memory's not perfect. And we know that from the sources because sometimes Muhammad would forget a verse and he'd have to be reminded. He'd have to be reminded by someone. So the idea that he just has this perfect memory and so on, they want that to be true and they want there to be one Quran so much that, you know, the Muhammad has to give them some stupid explanation and they just go with it. But that's what sets the pattern. Muhammad gives a stupid explanation, which makes no sense. Oh yeah, Allah revealed it in these different ways. And okay, what's the explanation? They eventually went with, oh yeah, just different dialects and so on. Okay, so suppose we go with that. Suppose we go with that silly response. There were all these different dialects the entire time. So the entire time he's revealing the Quran in all these different dialects. No one had a clue about it until they're reciting the Quran in different ways. By the way, guys, it doesn't even work. Those guys were the exact same tribe and spoke the exact same dialect. So the dialect difference, the dialect explanation doesn't even make any sense. But it fails in multiple ways. But even if you go with it, it still doesn't make any sense. This is weird, stupid stuff, man. All right, so let me pull that up just so we get his response in all its glory. What's he say? These slightly different ways of readings are due to the variations of pronunciation amongst Arabian tribes and were endorsed by the Prophet Muhammad himself. May peace and blessings of God be upon him. If you give any text to an English person and a Scottish person, for example, the text remains the same, but their pronunciation is different. Jai, are we talking about the exact same text that's somehow pronounced in different ways?
No, we're not talking about that at all.
Okay, so this guy is 100% wrong.
100% wrong.
Indisputably wrong.
Yes.
And that's just, I mean, and they don't seem to care a whole lot. Good try, but three persons in one, and each is one person, yet all is one person is pretty confusing. That's not what we say.
See that? Yeah, exactly. That's not the Trinity.
They can't respond without straw manning. The Quran has always been preserved in different readings. They all carry the same meaning and message, unlike gospel versions that partly contradict each other. Jai, do the variants we're talking about all carry the same meaning and message?
No. In
That's
fact,
not what we're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, not only do we actually have example of contradictions where we have Muslim scholars admitting their contradictions, we also have different legal variants where they literally give you different legal rulings, like how you practice Islam differs based on which Quran you're reading or which one you prioritize, right? This one says you do something this way. This one says you do something this way. Different legal rulings, like your Islam differs based on the Quran you use. And there are contradictions as well. There are contradictions. Whereas, no, you're not going to find contradictions in the gospel, like he says, gospel versions. But the thing with the Trinity as well, it's like that was the point. One of the points of the meme was like they intentionally will misrepresent the Trinity, or like he does there, and make it say something we're not saying. And then when it comes to the Quran, what happens?
Yep. And so here we have Christians and their Bible have become obsessed with Islam. What? The Bible's become obsessed with Islam and the Quran? They are jealous of the fact that their book is corrupted. Really? The Quran says our book hasn't been corrupted. That's weird. So I guess I guess the Quran is wrong, and they know this. But no, we don't. But they try to change the truth and claim that the Quran is corrupted. No, we go with your definition of corrupted, and then we show that based on your definition of corruption, the Quran is corrupted. This is proof of their stupidity. Yeah, it's definitely proof of someone's stupidity. We'll.
By the way, if people want to head over there and respond to this guy with the Islamic dilemma, go ahead. You can start responding to these people.
Yep. Those aren't different versions of the Quran. They're different methods of recitation of the same Quran. It's one Quran unchanged. Another guy they are the meme.
Yeah,
they are the meme.
Yep.
Look here. This is so funny. Deaf shows low IQ. Yeah, it definitely does. Probably a product of public school from the Bible Belt. It's weird. It's weird how frequently they say you're stupid when they're all saying things that are completely false and are completely out of touch with reality. But guys, we're just looking through the comment. These guys, they're all wrong. 100% of them are wrong. I think there's some who actually understand that there are different meanings and stuff like that. But just look. They have the same meaning, just different recitations. Jai, do these variants have the same meaning?
No. Even the one you gave, which is probably the most famous one, chapter 1, verse 4, Maliki versus Malik. Maliki Yawmuddin, the owner of the Day of Judgment versus the king of the Day of Judgment. That is a difference in meaning. Difference in meaning. Which, by the way, Al-Tabari said that the owner meaning there, the one with means owner, that actually is a less correct reading. Why? Because the other one gives a lot more authority, gives a lot more exaltation, etc. So early Muslims weren't trying to even reconcile these necessarily. They were saying things like, "Oh, this one seems more correct versus this one."
And it's crazy. You can go through, like Jalalain includes tons of textual variants, and he'll say on another reading, and then it's this, and it gives a different meaning, and it's just like this was considered like understood in Islam in the past, and now it's difficult to find any Muslim who knows this who's not like a scholar. And look, Ace D says, tomato, that's what these are, just different pronunciation of the same words. Jai, are these different pronunciations of the same words?
Nope.
The verses are the same, you knobhead.
They're all the same.
Yeah. First of all,
here's one who actually uses this is the difference that we just talked about. 1 verse 4.
Very nice. Very nice. Let's see.
Oh,
okay.
Boy.
Okay. So
oh boy. Oh no.
Now, I want to read. It's interesting that we're actually getting someone who understands that there's actually some different meanings. But this would be it's different meaning, but they complement one another. I'm assuming. Let's see. First of all,
no, I read ahead, and he's not even saying that.
Oh yeah. Okay. First of all, the differences in those mushafs are only about recitation, kirat, and verse number. It's funny that he thinks kirat means just different recitation. And verse numbering, Al-Fatiha 1:4, okay, owner of the Day of Judgment or king of the Day of Judgment. The difference here is only related to grammar and pronunciation, dialect. First of all, bold. That's already bold. Wait, you just said they're different meanings. Oh my goodness.
It even translated them differently too. Like he translated it correctly. Malik, owner, king. So he translates them different meaning, and he says it just related to grammar. Then why aren't you translating it the same way? In pronunciation. What?
Think of it in English. Boy. Okay, I can think of owner and king in English. Those mean different things.
Yeah.
Someone can be a king. Someone can be a king and an owner, but someone can be an owner without being a king.
That's what At-Tabari points out as well. I forgot to mention that point. That's why he rejects the owner variant, and he says that the king is more authoritative. It's more correct because of the reason you just laid out. Yeah.
American English and British English use different grammar and pronunciation, but it is still the same language. Secondly, the difference in verse numbers comes from pauses, stops. In one recitation, he thinks we're just talking about different numbering systems here.
The numbering has to do with the Bismillah. That's is it a verse or is it not a verse? It's like that's the numbering.
In one recitation, a sentence may stop and form a new verse, while in another it continues as part of the same verse. Thirdly, these are the only types of differences.
Only.
Jai, is that true? Are these the only types of differences?
No, these are not the only type of differences. And in fact, the difference he lays out, his explanation of that is completely wrong. So it's like if you use the example he just used, you can make an entirely different point with it, like an actual correct point. What he used was the example that we gave earlier, and he's explaining completely incorrectly. It's not about grammar, and it's not about pronunciation in terms of like tomato, tomato. It's about pronunciation because it's a different word. That's
Yep. So Miriam here says there is only one Quran. The Bible is a corrupted book. Okay, well then the Quran's wrong because the Quran says no one can change Allah's words. Here we have it's the same words, and don't let me start with the Bible. The Bible today is not even like the Bible 100 years before. There are millions of version of the Bible, and they not even the same. Well, this brilliant scholar here. So we have more problems.
well,
for
they
the
have
Quran.
that crayons guy explaining the.
Yeah, they had like the dumbest guy who gets ratioed every single tweet by me. All right, so we have this. Anyway, guys, the point here, guys, is notice the Muslims by far, and again, we've got some who do understand. I know because I've seen them. So you got some who do understand that there are actual differences in meaning and so on. By far, the majority are just nope, different dialects, different pronunciations, just like tomato, tomato, and stuff, right?
Like this person here saying it's the same Quran, different translations. He doesn't realize I'm talking about Arabic versions of the Quran. Same
Yeah.
Quran, different translations. How are you so dumb? Like,
All right, so guys, we'll return. Hey, my camera went out. It only does it when I'm playing. Let's see. So guys, let me just put you up here for a second.
okay, no problem.
Oh wait, actually, you want to go into your presentation now?
Yeah, we can just go right to the presentation. No problem.
Want to jump into that? Ready?
Oh, actually, do you want to play those clips first? As like an intro. They're short, but I think it's going to be really telling in terms of what scholars say versus what those guys say.
All right, let me get my camera. Oh, all right, there we go. Oh, there we go. All right. It is weird. It only cuts out when I'm live. I have to troubleshoot that. All right, so you wanted to check out the clips? All right, so guys, this is a Quran scholar talking to Paul Williams, Muslim apologist. And watch what the guy says to him. Short clip.
Many people, maybe most, I don't know, many Muslims grow up not knowing anything outside of the Hafs tradition. And they don't get exposed to the idea that there are other reading traditions and that there are Quranic variants and that all sort of this whole system framework that I discussed. And it might be surprising to some people, but and unfortunately, actually, so I have heard some preachers that do say that there's only, one reading or one Quran or something like that. And if I were to be very generous, I would say that falls under the umbrella of like lies to children, if that makes sense. So lies to children.
Catch that, guys? Hey, what about all these Muslim guys who say there's only one Quran? Yeah, I would think of that
Basically,
as like
every tweet we just read.
lies to children. So all the people, you guys are so stupid. Stupid for what? For not believing what scholars think of as lies to children. Like
Paul Williams was like,
like Santa Claus.
Yeah, Paul Williams he's thrown off by that one. He's like, wait, I was taught there's only one. He's like, what? Oh man,
isn't that amazing?
So like every single
lies to
response
children.
we just read from, every single response we just read from, he was describing all those guys. Everyone who was calling like us ignorant and idiot and this and that, all these other insults. He's saying, no, you guys just aren't exposed to the truth. You're just taught lies. Yeah, we'll go hear it again.
And so, yeah.
Think about all those responses we just read, and then listen to what he says again.
So, guys, think about this. You just had a Quran scholar admit Muslims have been lied to, right? Like this is like he's used to interacting at a scholarly level. He probably doesn't realize how bad it is that almost every Muslim you run into is telling the lie that they were told in the category of what he regards as lies to children. So. Think about the reality here. Muslims have been lied to their entire lives about the Quran. And we come along and say, guys, you've been lied to. And then, you're so stupid. You don't realize that there's only one Quran. And we're so stupid that because we don't believe the lie, that even Quran scholars will acknowledge is a lie that you tell to kids to make them, because kids can't understand the reality. And it's seriously amazing because along the same thinking is like, that's basically Yasser Qadi's thinking. It's like, Yasser Qadi, why did you say for years when you're talking to a popular audience, perfect preservation from the time of Uthman down to the present, not one letter of difference between any two Qurans? He knew that was a lie. He absolutely knew that was a lie. Why? He literally, I mean, he wrote the book on Quran sciences and talks about the different ahruf and the different qira'at and so on. And we have clips of him talking to students of knowledge. So people who are actually on the path to becoming scholars, where he's, of course, we have different Qurans in different parts of the world, and they have different words and different meanings and so on. Of course, we have all that. And it's like, well, why were you telling popular level Muslims only one Quran, no, not one letter of difference? Why were you telling that lie? You can see it. You can see when hijab starts trying to get him to say whether there are different Qurans and so on. We don't discuss this. This is bad. This is a bad idea to be having this discussion. You don't ever have this discussion in public. What's he mean? He thinks of average Muslims as like on the level of kids. You just have to lie to them. You cannot tell them their reality. They won't grasp it. And so you just lied to them. And this guy, these are lies to children, lies to children. Watch this one more time.
Many people, maybe most, I don't know, many Muslims grow up not knowing anything outside of the Hafs tradition. And they don't get exposed to the idea that there are other reading traditions and that there are Quranic variants and that all sort of this whole system framework that I discussed. And it might be surprising to some people, but, and unfortunately, actually, so I have heard some preachers that do say that there's only, one reading or one Quran or something.
I've heard there are some, that was every single Dawah guy for decades.
Yeah. I like how he says one Quran as well. Like he's acknowledging, so the scholars acknowledge it's more than one Quran. And in fact, I was going to even compile like other clips of other scholars saying more than one Quran. But he says it right here. He's like, I've heard preachers say there's only one Quran. So what's he saying? He's saying that's not true. There's not just one Quran.
That'd be a good little compilation, like, a couple-minute compilation of different Muslims, like Yasser Qadi. Of course, we have different Qurans. And Shabir Ali admits it.
Yeah.
You got the people.
Oh, because by the way, it's important to note, like, because I mean, we don't know Paul Williams. He's like, Muslim apologist and stuff. But this guy, he is an academic, but he's also a believing Muslim as well. So a lot of times, you have like scholars talk about, on Islam on an academic level that are not Muslims. He is a Muslim. He believes in Islam. So he's not like one that's So if anything, he would be trying to say something in favor of like the dawah or whatever, but he's saying, no, this is just the truth. Even as a Muslim, but as a scholar, he has to admit that this is a lie. There's not just one Quran. So it's important to note that because, like I said, there are a lot of Islamic scholars out there who are not Muslims who will say that same thing, but it's important to note that he is a Muslim, believing Muslim.
And unfortunately, actually, so I have heard some preachers that do say that there's only, one reading or one Quran or something like that. And, if I were to be very generous, I would say that falls under the umbrella of like lies to children, if that makes sense. So lies to children.
It's funny. He said, if I were to be generous, I would just say it's lies. But I mean, think about this. Like, why would you be generous for saying lies to children?
Exactly.
There it would be
a nice way to say it.
Yeah, there would be about the motivation, right? Because if you're saying these are just lies we tell to adults just to lie to them, then it'd be like, okay, well, that's worse. If you're thinking of the entire Muslim population as, well, they're just basically like little kids. They can't understand these things. Well, okay, we're lying to them because they're the product of, so many generations of first cousin marriage that they're incapable of understanding this. So we'll just lie to them. He's actually trying to put like a good motivation onto the lies. That was him being generous, calling them lies. That is why.
Yeah, I was thinking, what's the not generous way of saying?
Yeah, I know. Just flat out evil lies to deceive people.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. All right, you wanted to check out one more clip?
Yeah, so there's a little context for this one. So Daniel Wallace, New Testament scholar, specializes in the textual transmission and history of the New Testament and variations and things like all the different manuscripts and stuff. So he's like one of the go-to experts on the topic of variants when it relates to the New Testament. And so he talks a little bit about that, and this is in a debate he's having with Bart Ehrman. So here you have Daniel Wallace, who is a believing Christian scholar of the New Testament, and then he's debating Bart Ehrman, who's an agnostic, not Christian, not unbelieving, scholar of New Testament. and he's saying something in that debate that they both agree on. And then we're going to hear a Muslim scholar talking, and he's talking about variants in the New Testament tradition. And then we're going to hear a Muslim scholar talking about variants within the what are called like the canonical readings. So like all 20 of those, like of those readings that we saw or we referenced earlier, all 20 of those, those are the canonical, like acceptable readings. Like Muslims can pray with those in a mosque, etc. Liturgically use them. That he talks about the variants within that tradition. So he's not even including Ibn Masud says it like this, or Ubay says it like that, or he's not even including those. He's saying just within the canonical readings. And I want you guys to compare what these two different scholars are saying. New Testament scholar and then Quranic. I'm not sure what Fadl Suleiman's scholar academic expertise is in, but I know he translated the Bridges translation for the different variant readings. So he's the author of that. So he's some sort of Muslim scholar specializing in that field.
Little side note on Dan Wallace, because that guy's pretty darn interesting. But Dan Wallace, so he became like master of Greek, and he was the one putting out the books on New Testament Greek and so on. Then he had a brain infection that destroyed his memory. And he forgot all his Greek. He forgot it all. Like it destroyed his memory of all this. So he had to, once the infection was over, he didn't know any Greek, so he had to relearn, and then he used his own books to relearn New Testament Greek and so on, and then became one of the top guys again. Interesting stuff. All right, so here we go.
Meaningful and viable. What I mean by meaningful is that they change the meaning of the text to some degree, and viable means that they have a good chance of representing the original wording. Less than 1% of all textual variants fit this group, as Bart and I would both agree.
I just want to pause it there, guys. So
really important what he's saying there. Bart and him both agree on this point.
Yeah, so there are two important things. One, meaningful, and two, viable. Meaningful is it actually changes the meaning. Most Quran most textual variants in the New Testament don't change the meaning. In other words, it wouldn't even change the translation. Why? Because like tons of them are things like spelling differences. Because you can spell words, especially over time. You can spell Greek words in different ways, even though it's the exact same word. So John, you could spell it with one N or two N's, one new or two news, right? It's the exact same word. If you're translating it, you would spell John however you spell John in like English, but you can have it spelled different ways in Greek. Notice it doesn't affect the meaning at all. Tons of textual variants are just like that. They don't affect the meaning at all. That would not affect a translation or anyone's understanding of a verse. But then you have some that are meaningful, but they're not viable. Viable means it could potentially be the original reading. And so, in other words, if you have all the manuscripts up until the 11th century read one way, and then all of a sudden in the 11th century there's a different word, you wouldn't consider that viable. You'd say, okay, someone obviously made a mistake copying this. Otherwise, you would see it somewhere in the first 10 centuries and so on. So viable means it could be the original. In other words, if I wrote a manuscript of the New Testament today and I changed something, even if I change the meaning, it's not viable. No one would consider that something that might be the original reading. So then he points out that when you're talking about something that is meaningful, it actually affects the meaning, and it's viable. It could be the original reading. Less than 1% of manuscript variants are in that category, which means over 99% are either not meaningful or not viable or both. Yep. And so that's what he's pointing out. But now we get someone talking about the Quran, who's literally the guy who put out the translation of 10 different versions of the Quran. What's he say?
And so just like so these are all canonical. So viable is not even a question.
That's what I mean. They're
viable.
all according to Muslims. These are all viable. Not only are they all viable, they're all authentic. They're all authentic. Yeah. They were revealed by Allah this way.
Exactly. So you'll notice you won't even use the word viable because that's already a given.
Just in authentic
Islam, right? But so with that being said, so then there's a difference in meaning as well. So now let's see what he says about that.
All right.
30% of its variations are not performance. They affect the meaning so much. Meanings become completely different.
30%.
You catch that,
And
guys?
he even says that in his book as well. He says, like in the print, if you guys have the Bridges translation, I think they have PDF versions of it. I think there's also just like websites that have like the notes so that he gives. He says that as well, 30%. So New Testament scholar, whether you are a believer like Daniel Wallace or you're a agnostic like Bart Ehrman, the facts are the facts. Less than 1% are both viable and meaningful. Less than 1% when it comes to New Testament variant readings. However, the Quran, within the canonical, just the canonical readings, which we don't even need to grant, because we could say like, you know, some of these other readings that aren't like canonical, but they still exist in the tradition, we might argue that well, they have just as much chance of being authentic as like this one. Like, you know, like whether Muhammad is like a father to the people or not, like that's a variant reading, but that's not a canonical variant, right? So but we could argue, well, that's authentic, but forget about that. Just from their perspective, like as Muslims, he's saying as a Muslim scholar, that 30% of the variants amongst the canonical readings change the meaning entirely, completely. So versus less than 1%. So,
all right, so guys, going to read a couple super chats real quick, and then Jai's going to jump into some examples of what we're talking about. And are we just talking about differences of pronunciation and so on? We have, if Muhammad was alive today and saw this meme, he would conveniently receive a revelation prohibiting memes. Well done, Jai. Triggered lots of cope. And guys, oh my goodness, guys. We're constantly tossing stuff out, and it's the reaction that tells us when you touched a nerve, right?
Yeah,
it's the reaction. Well, guess what? We just saw a huge reaction from these guys. So thank you to all the Muslims who responded. You told us basically what we're going to spend a lot of time this year going over, because you guys didn't like this one bit, did you?
Yeah, that's right. So look for the responses, how things like what's the ripple effect like, and that's how they pretty much let us know like what they want us to talk about.
Hey,
what they don't want us to talk about, they want us to talk about.
Hey, what I was talking about earlier with like actually custom responses, guys. So we'll make like a video going through some different variants and stuff like that. Anyone who wants to, when you see a Muslim, no, it's just differences in dialect. Take the video, actually record yourself. So this Muslim says it's only differences in dialect. Let's find out, and then play the video. We're going to put all that in your hands. Why? They're not hearing the truth from their leaders. They're only going to hear it from us. So we got to tell them. Muslims suffer from Stockholm Syndrome, threats, fear, and brainwashing. Positive and negative reinforcement makes it too painful to go, so they stay captive. Yep. What are the 30 Ds of Dawah? Hey, that's very... I told the Arabic guy that we needed the Rosetta Stone from Joseph Smith to read the Magic Arabic. That is true. Different types of reciting methods been used and refuted years ago. More Dawah argument recycling. Yeah, but it is good that more people are catching on and responding to it. Captain Picard chained up meme. There is one Quran. Oh, dude, that's another meme. Oh, dude, that's perfect. That would be a video though. That was an episode of Star Trek where he was actually being tortured into. There's 4 lights and he's being tortured. Okay. They're saying say 3 lights and he's like, no, there are 4 lights, and they would torture him. And so it keeps going until they have to let him go, and they say, how many lights are there? And he screams, there are 4 lights. And later on, when he's describing, he said, you know what? When you know what's messed up, I saw 3 lights. So it actually worked. They tortured him so much that he actually saw what they wanted him to see. But that might be.
Ooh.
That's
a good one. Yeah.
There is one Quran. Off topic, but I missed the last stream. How do we get John Cleese to do Hotel Hijab visits Faulty Towers? Oh my goodness, that would be awesome.
That'd be hilarious.
How do you even know what Faulty Towers is? Oh wait, you lived over there.
I lived in the UK for a few years, and we saw some episodes of it. Some of the funny ones, like the Christmas one was a funny one.
Who is more unreliable narrator, Muhammad or Allah? That's the rough part. And here's what's really amazing to me. When we go through some of these variants that actually leave you with contradictions. I mean, think. So like in 1181, where it's a difference between it shifts from the accusative case to the nominative case, but it changes it you end up with a contradiction. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah, we're gonna be going over that one.
that's what I mean, but it's like you could either say a human being made a mistake at some point. And they are so unwilling to say that they would rather say no, Allah contradicted himself and revealed it in contradictory ways. And it's like you would rather say Allah contradicts himself than that a human being made a mistake, because they're so glued to this idea that the Quran is being miraculously preserved, which was a lie.
Exactly.
So matter of fact, I mean that's kind of an important point to make. It's like your lie is more important to you than like the integrity of your God. You'd rather accuse your God of contradicting himself than you would be willing to refute a lie about every Quran being miraculously preserved. Like really stupid. You see, the Quran says the Quran is perfect, so it is. I've enjoyed your content for years, and this is my first super chat on your channel. Question for Jai: how and why did you learn Arabic? Was it after you met your lovely wife? Thanks for the work you do. Yeah, these are off topic, guys, but you get the short version.
No, I knew Arabic before I met DOC. The short version, I noticed it was like really close to Hebrew, and so I started to learn both at the same time. And yeah, that's pretty much the short version. We'll have a longer, detailed version of it one day, but yeah.
Could the Quran be classified as Momo's fan fiction? Yeah, obviously. Hands doing a, oh, that's super stick. Ida got me. I always read it. The products of 14 centuries of cousin marriage, calling people who haven't practiced cousin marriage for longer than that. Low IQ. Interesting. Yep. You see, Trinity is, forgive me, Allah, Mary, and Jesus. Yep. According to the Quran, it is. And by the way, little side note, it's like, that's a thing where, like, Muhammad obviously didn't know what he was talking about, right? Like, and you can understand a human being making the mistake. Oh, I hear Christians talking about the Trinity. I hear Christians talking about God the Father. I hear them talking about Jesus the Son. And I hear them talking about Mary, the mother of Jesus. Oh, that's the Trinity. You can understand a human being making that mistake. But they'll have Allah making the mistake. Allah doesn't know what the doctrine of the Trinity is that he's referring to. Lies to children. I blame the first cousin marriage. Yep. Jai, you need to make a meme that responds to Muslims who go like, actually, it's just different recitations, not content. You clearly don't know Arabic. No, Jai just found out the power of memes, everyone.
Yeah.
Road to Damascus said, I actually posted that on my page. I think he's talking about the video clip we were playing. Quran 3:28, Taqiyya, deception on behalf of Islam is allowed until the day of resurrection. That's why they lie. Without lies, Islam dies. He does say that. And that's in Ibn Kathir's commentary. And who are tougher to witness to? Muslims, atheists, Mormons, other groups. I'll go with Muslims. All right. Ready to jump into this, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So everyone, Jai pointed out that, they keep saying it's one Quran when they have different Qurans. And what's the response? It's just differences of pronunciation, differences. They don't affect meaning at all. Jai has a problem with that. So let's see some examples here of what we're talking about.
All right. So we got a couple different examples in all these different categories. Wanted to go first to contradictions between different Qurans. So there's one in chapter 10, verse 16. And so I basically just have like the Arabic on top and then the relevant difference here on the bottom. So the difference here is this version in Hafs says he would not have made it known to you. And Qunbal and other versions as well, it says he would have made it known to you. And so
that sounds like the opposite.
Yeah. So if you wanted to get like, what do the Muslim scholars have to say about
I would give you a sandwich versus I would not give you a sandwich.
Exactly. And so this is Tafsir al-Jalalain. So you can just go to like altafsir.com or whatever, however you access Tafsir al-Jalalain, and you can see what it says here in the commentary. Say If God had willed, I would have not recited it to you, nor would he have made it known to you, nor would he have made you aware of it. And then he goes on to like what's happening there in the Arabic grammar for negation there. But he mentioned a variant reading. The variant reading says he would have made it known to you. And so he goes on to explain like, maybe how you can understand that or reconcile it. But at least he's the Jalals, they're admitting that this is, this is what the variant is, and this is one of them is in the affirmative and one's in the negation. So they might come up with different explanations for like how do you reconcile these two, but one of them's in the affirmation and the other one's in negation. So that's that one. So obviously, I will do something versus won't do something. Okay, that's a contradiction. Then chapter 11, verse 81. This is kind of a technical difference here, but it's a difference nonetheless, and it's a contradiction. So essentially, just kind of make it really
guys,
condensed.
everyone catch this. Contradiction here. Complete contradiction.
Yes.
In other words, one of these has to be false. One of them has to be false.
And so what's happening in the Arabic is it's like this technical grammatical thing, like where is this going back to in the sentence? Is it going back to this clause or that clause? So the majority reading has it read like this. I'll just read the whole verse and then I'll explain the variance there. So they, in this translation, it puts in the angels, said, "O Lot, indeed we are messengers of your Lord. Therefore, they will never reach you. So set out with your family during a portion of the night, and let not any among you except your wife. Indeed, she will be struck by that which strikes them. Indeed, their appointment is for the morning, is not the morning near." So what's happening there in the Arabic is this "except your wife" bit. Except your wife. Where is that exception going back to? So in the majority reading, it's set out with your family during a portion of the night, except your wife. So in other words, she's not going with you. You don't include her. So this is the command of the angels, okay? So how I like to phrase this to the Muslims when I'm talking to them is, what did the angels command Lot to do? Did they command to take his wife or not? Because the other one says, set out with your family during a portion of the night. There's no except there. And let not any among you look back except your wife. So there's two commands there. Set out with your family during a portion of the night, and let not any among you look back. And except your wife goes into one in the majority reading and goes into the other in the other reading, the alternative reading.
Yeah, and so this is the one where it's just the difference between the nominative or the accusative, but that changes what it's modifying. So guys, it's hey,
we have this
everyone, Lot, take your entire family with you except your wife. Right? Take your entire family with you except your wife. Okay, what's that mean? It means he's taking his entire family with him except his wife. His wife's not going with them. Or, hey, take your whole family with you and don't look back except your wife. In which case, you're taking the wife too, but she's the only one who's going to look back, and then she's in trouble. So guess what? What's that mean? It means some versions take out your whole family, take your whole family with you, but your wife's going to look back. And other versions, take your whole family except your wife. So in some versions, he's commanded to leave his wife at home. And in other versions, he's commanded to take his wife with him, but she's the one who's going to look back. Guess what, guys? It's one or the other. It has to be one or the other. Both of these are supposedly revealed by Allah. So instead of saying that, oops, some scribe messed it up and switched it from nominative to accusative or accusative to nominative, instead of saying that, they'll just say, no, Allah revealed it in these eternally contradictory ways.
Yeah, which, by the way, just in those cases, like a nominative case or accusative, we're literally talking about one vowel difference. So I'll just read it. Imra'ateka, imra'atuka. So it's like an A or an U, like an A or O. That's literally the difference. And so the idea is like, well, yeah, of course, Gabriel came twice. He said and then U in the other one. It's like, or someone just made a mistake somewhere.
By
So
the
here's,
way, I want a video compiling like 10 examples just like that, and make
there's
it.
plenty.
Yeah,
There's
no,
plenty of
that's what I mean. That seems very common. That like,
Yeah.
oh, this letter difference or something like that, but changes the meaning, and they say no, they both go back to Allah, and it's like. If we put together like 10 or 12 of those, and then I'll frame it as inference to the best explanation. What's the best explanation for why you have these variants? Human beings aren't perfect and they make mistakes sometimes, or Allah just is conveniently revealing things in all these different ways that look really, really similar and close to each other and look exactly like a mistake a human being would make, but it's not a mistake.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna see those when we look to like there's like it's so obvious that like someone else is just making a mistake, but Muslims they just attribute it to Allah instead. So here's Ashankiti here, who is a big Muslim scholar, recent Muslim scholar, like we're not talking about like a classical scholar, but like in recent times, and Yasser Qadhi calls him like the teacher of our teachers. Like he's like this big sheikh. So 1181, he comments and he says the reading of the majority, other than Ibn Kathir and Abu Amr, those are like the other two readings where. So basically, each reader, not to complicate things or confusing, but each reader has two transmitters. So even though it's Ibn Kathir, by the way, this is not Ibn Kathir the commentator. This is Ibn Kathir, the reader, so two different Ibn Kathirs, and Abu Amr. So each of them have like two students. So even though there's only two names mentioned here, he's actually talking about 4 readings in total. So 4 readings. Okay. So he's saying that the majority reading has no issues. Well, obviously, if you just have one reading, there's going to be no issues with that one reading unless there's a contradiction inside the verse itself. But anyway, he says, because the majority read, and let not any of you turn except your wife. On the reading of the accusative, there's no issue in the verse at all. And the meaning is, so travel by night with your family in a portion of the night, except your wife. So the except goes there. And do not travel with her. So don't travel with her. Leave with your family, except your wife, right? Leave her with the doomed ones. Indeed, it will afflict on her what is afflicted on them, because she is a disbeliever among them. Okay, now it goes. Now here's the variant. As for the reading of Abu Amr and Ibn Kathir, in the nominative case, except your wife, there is a contradiction in the verse. Now, this is a Muslim scholar, and we have another Muslim scholar.
Wait, what do you call it? What do you call it?
A contradiction.
Wait, he called it a contradiction?
Muslim scholar called it a contradiction.
Muslim scholar? I thought there were no contradictions. Here we have one of the great Muslim scholars of recent years calling it a contradiction. And yet we're idiots if we think these differences are anything beyond pronunciation differences.
Exactly. And so we're just like, this is a condensed presentation, but if we were to go in detail on this verse, there are other Muslim scholars who point out issues, and there's another Muslim scholar who said that this is a contradiction as well. So he says there is a contradiction in the verse. There is a contradiction, opposed to his saying except your wife, because his saying except your wife with the fatha, which is the a vowel, indicates that he did not travel with her, and the reading except your wife with the dhamma, which is the u vowel or o vowel, indicates that he traveled with her. So one indicates that he did not travel with her, and the other one indicates that he did travel with her, and that none turn except her. So he's saying that there is a contradiction there. Then he goes on to try to explain, like, this is how the majority of scholars will try to like reconcile it, but he doesn't actually like tell you his position on whether that's, does he think it's a good explanation or not. He just goes on to say like what they do. And what they do is, and so if you bring this one up to Muslims, what they'll say is they'll just focus on her fate. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. Whether she stayed back or she turned around or whatever, she's still a disbeliever. She's still like, her fate is still sealed. But our question is, what did the angels command Lot to do? Did the angels command that he takes his wife or not? Because that's the contradiction in the command itself, not what actually happened, right? Like her fate, that we're not talking about that. I mean, you can argue that way, but I always found it the best way to argue it is, what did the angels command? So Muslim scholar here admitting there's a contradiction. All right. Then we have different legal rulings. Okay, different legal rulings between different Qurans. So in chapter 2, verse 184, it's kind of a longer verse, but basically what it's talking about is that if you miss a fast day if you're sick or you're on a journey or something like that. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, like, I think it was like last Ramadan or something like that. Muslims were pointing out that Andrew Tate was in like Vegas and he was like eating and drinking and all this stuff in Vegas. And some Muslims were actually excusing him because they were saying, well, he's traveling, so he doesn't have to fast during Ramadan because he's traveling. Not like, but he was like in casinos and he was like drinking and stuff like that. But that's when they used to excuse him. Now they just kind of threw him under the bus. But anyway, this is talking about what do you do to make up for that fasting day. Let's say you're traveling during Ramadan or whatever, or you're sick in Ramadan. How do you make up for that fasting day? How do you redeem yourself by that? So Hafs is going to tell you one of the ways that you redeem it is, how do you redeem it? You feed a poor man, singular, a poor person, one poor person. Warsh, though, you feed poor people, which in Arabic, the plural here is 3+. Okay, so there's like a singular, there's a dual, and there's a 3+. So at least 3 people you're feeding. So one Quran is going to tell you that if you're going to make up your fasting day because you're sick or you're traveling during Ramadan, you redeem yourself by feeding one poor person, and you're redeemed. Now you're good. But if you read another Quran, it's going to say you have to feed at least 3 people. So how you practice Islam differs based on which Quran you're reading.
And so, if you were in that situation, you missed a fasting day, and you want to make up for it, what you do is going to depend on which Quran you go to. And if you just go with Hafs, which is what most Muslims go to, you'd say, "Oh, I just have to feed a poor person. Then I'm even Steven with Allah." And yet, according to Warsh, no, you're not good because you have to feed at least 3 people. So you're not good. So if you follow Hafs and Hafs is correct, then you're good to go. If you follow Hafs but Warsh is correct, you're still in trouble with Allah. You haven't made up for the day you missed because you have to feed multiple people. So guys, think about this. Both of these supposedly go back to Allah, according to what they're telling us. And these are just differences in dialect and pronunciation. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They're different legal rulings.
Yes. And so Al-Tabari points out, that the other reading is poor people in the plural. Okay. And so, by the way, I noted here, like roughly half of the readings of the Quran, like if you were to take the Quran like as books like this, let's imagine these are all 20 of them, let's say, roughly half of them are going to say poor person, and roughly the other half are going to say like at least 3 poor people. So it's like we're not talking about just like one difference between one. It's like, no, it's pretty like half of them are saying one thing and half are saying the other thing. And by the way, even if there was just one difference, like it was like one reading versus the other 19, let's say, that still is a problem for Muslims because they still believe that one reading is divine and inspired by Allah. So here's another one, David, where the difference is literally just like a E vowel versus an A vowel. And this completely changes the ruling altogether. So some Qurans command, like when you're doing the wudu, when you're doing the ablution, when you're cleaning yourself, purifying yourself before God to make your prayers acceptable, etc. Oh, you who have believed, when you rise to prayer, wash your faces and your forearms to the elbows, and wipe your heads and wash your feet to the ankles. Okay? Then other Qurans tell you to wipe your feet to the ankles. And that is a technical difference, washing and wiping. Like, I know, like, when we see this as non-Muslims, we're thinking like this is like, who cares, washing or wiping? But this is actually a difference between like Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims. It's a huge legal difference between how they're considered pure before God. So if you have a very legalistic religion like Islam, every little detail matters. So wiping is considered one action, and then washing is considered another action. These are actually like technical definitions. But the point is that some Qurans tell you need to wash your feet to the ankles, and the other one says you need to wipe your feet to the ankles. So again, this is a legal difference between different Qurans. And what's interesting about this one is that Hafs reads it in one way, and then the other student of Asim, who Hafs is supposedly getting the reading from, Shu'ba, he reads it the other way. So they're supposedly both getting it from the same teacher, but they have different readings here, interestingly. And that's not the only place, but this is just one of the places. So Muslim scholar Abu Ja'far an-Nahas pointed out that these two readings are akin to two separate verses. Two separate verses, because it's two different legal rulings. All right. Now we have some theological/logical or illogical differences between the Qurans. Chapter 37, verse 12. This one is a really popular one that's making the waves on social media as well. Chapter 37, verse 12. It says, "Rather, you were surprised as they mock." And then the other reading says, "Rather, I was surprised as they mock." So in the first reading, you, Ajibta, talking to Muhammad, Allah speaking to Muhammad, you were surprised while they mock, or as they mock. And then Ajibtu, I was surprised, meaning Allah was surprised. Now, the reason why I say this is a theological difference, or a kind of theological implications, is because that's what Muslims were saying like early Muslims were saying. You had some early Muslims arguing, and I have like Tafsir al-Razi here, a Tafsir Kabir by al-Razi. He says that the reading that attributes the surprise to Allah, some people argue that it's impossible because surprise occurs in a state with ignorance. So in order to experience surprise, you need to be ignorant of something, like you don't know what's going to happen. That's how it surprises you. So that was their understanding, and it is known that ignorance is impossible for Allah. So he's listing this as an issue that earlier Muslims would argue, or Muslims in his time were arguing, and then he goes on to give like different responses to it. Like he gives like, there's one issue, here's another issue, here's another issue. Then he goes on to say what the answers are, or like what he thinks answers, how to address that. But some Muslims viewed this reading, Allah being surprised, as a theological impossibility.
And whether you view it as a theological impossibility or not, how you read this verse has theological implications. One has implications for Allah and the other doesn't.
Yeah, and by the way, this is another difference of tu and ta. So it's like literally just a vowel difference, but it changes completely as to whether me, the speaker, I'm surprised, or you, the one who I'm addressing, you're surprised. That's what the and the ta and the tu are doing there. So very minor, like if you're looking at like you can see here, like it's this little dot, like little line on the top here, this little pink on the top, and then this one right here, this little line right here, like this little circular one. This is like the O or U vowel, and this is the A vowel. That's the difference there that we're talking about. So if you look at it, you're like thinking, oh, that's like not a difference at all. But in meaning, it actually differs. It actually changes entirely, like who's being addressed, the speaker or the person you're addressing. So not dialect, okay? This is not dialect. Changes the meaning. Some Muslims said it was impossible. Chapter 3, verse 146. Chapter 3, verse 146. And how many a prophet fought with whom were many godly men, and they did not lose heart for that which struck them in the path of God, nor did they weaken, nor did they yield, and God loves the steadfast. So Hafs here going to represent this reading of so you have fought. He's saying qatala, fought, and then Warsh was killed, qutala. And how many a prophet were killed, or was killed? It's singular, one prophet. How many a prophet was killed? So this is something that a lot of Muslims rejected. Like we have At-Tabari writing in the 10th century. He writes, and I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but he writes that the people who read it as qatala, fought, chose to do that because they said if it were the case that this prophet was killed, then the part where it says he didn't lose heart, or they did not lose heart, wouldn't be reasonable. It doesn't make sense, because it's impossible for them to be described as not losing heart and not being weakened after being killed. So if you read the verse in that variant, how many a prophet was killed with whom were many godly men? So they were all killed. Well, it goes on to say that they did not lose heart, and nor did they weaken. So how can you not lose heart if you're killed? That's what they were arguing. So they're saying it's impossible for the killed reading. And then he goes on to talk about like how the other people respond to that and why he actually accepts the reading of the killed. So there were some Muslims who said that this is an impossibility here, but today Muslims will tell you that these are both from God. These are both accepted and both from God. Okay. And then here's one where it's missing words or added words, depending on your perspective. Like, is it taking away something or is it adding something? It depends on what you kind of like prioritize as you have to think of there's one text and then that text is either being added to or taken away from. That's kind of the perspective here. So whatever your perspective is, there's either missing words or added words. So this doesn't really change the translation too much, but it does make it into a grammatical issue. But the key thing that you want to talk about here is that in like the Hafs Quran, Warsh Quran, that there's a word huwa, meaning he is or is. So Allah is free of need, the praiseworthy. This huwa here it doesn't exist at all. There's no huwa. So it's an entire word that's missing. So this is not an issue of like pronunciation, tomato. This is a word is in one version and it's not in the other version. And this version, I'm not going to get into the reasons for this right now, but this would be a grammatical mistake in the Arabic if you take it without the huwa. Okay. And then we have chapter 43, verse 19. Chapter 43, verse 19. And then in the Arabic, I just want to show like this is what we're talking about in terms of the difference here. These are two different words, but you can tell, you can see like if there's a scribe like making this shape, and then this line right here, you put the dot on top or you put the dot on the bottom, and there's a so it's like it's easy to explain like this is an easy scribal difference here, but Muslims say that it's not. They say that these are inspired by by Allah, given through Gabriel and stuff. So, and they made the angels who are servants of the Most High. Okay, so this is the Hafs reading here. Ibad, servants. And then the variant reading is, so they made them into females. So this is like the disbelievers. They made the angels who are servants of the Most High, most merciful, females. Did they not witness their creation? Did they witness their creation? Their testimony will be recorded and they will be questioned. So the variant here is instead of servants, it's with. So did they make the angels who are servants of the most merciful females versus, and did they make the angels who are with the most merciful females? So either they're servants of the most merciful or they're with the most merciful. This could be an example of like you could say they complement each other in meaning or something like that, like they're with and they're servants. But the point here is that this is a difference in wording altogether. These are completely different words. You can see that they look very close to each other though, depending on like where you put the dots and the lines and things like that. And you can easily see how like a scribe could make a mistake. But Muslims want to tell us that these are all inspired, etc. And this is another example of one word is in this Quran that doesn't appear anywhere in this Quran, and this one has the word that's never not in this Quran, in this verse at least, and they have completely different meanings. Now, this is not an example of contradictions, but this is an example of meaningful differences between the Qurans. So that was basically that. And then if people want dates for things, these are like the different readings, and these are what Muslims will say today are like the acceptable readings that they call canonical readings. This is a chart from Marin Van Putten, and these are the datings as well. So if you wanted to kind of look at these, like for example, the most popular reading today, Hafs, he died in like the 8th century, for example. Hafs died in the 8th century. So after the time of Muhammad, but that ended up becoming the most popular Quran in recent years. And then you can go through the rest of the dates as well if you're interested. But So basically, the idea is that there's a reader, and then they each have two transmitters. These transmitters are what are like they make up these books. The readers themselves don't have books in of themselves. They only exist through their transmitters. And then this can get problematic because you can have a reader who is two students differ on something, and then there's questions about that. But yeah, so that's kind of the the shortened, condensed presentation for.
All right, so guys, which of the variants that Jai went through were just differences of dialect or pronunciation of the exact same text?
Nope.
Simple question, right?
Yeah.
And so, guys, all the Muslims who are responding, it's just, oh, you idiot! It's just differences of dialect. Oh, you so stupid. They're either stupid and clueless, or worse, they know and they're lying, right? That's what's messed up. I mean, and some of them are Dawah guys, right? The Muslim cowboy, he spent his entire life is dedicated to Dawah. He doesn't even know the basics of like the reality of the Quran.
That's true.
This is wild stuff. Let me go ahead and make a poll here. Not in the Zoot sense, but make a quick poll.
By the way, back I think it was a couple of years ago, Muslim Cowboy was in like one of these Dawah rooms on Clubhouse, and there was like a bunch of Dawah guys, around like 6 or 7 of them or something. And so I heard them talking about variants in the New Testament, and they were trying to make a point about that to some Christian, and they were all ganging up on him and stuff. So I went in there and I talked to them. We addressed that, and then we moved on to the Quran, variants in the Quran, and they just lost it. So Muslim Cowboy, he brought a sheikh into the clubhouse, like into the room there, like he had him in real life with them, like he was probably in the car with them or something, I don't know. And he had the sheikh talking to me. And anyway, they ended up kicking me out of the room. Because they, whatever you think why they would do that. But the point is, Muslim Cowboy has heard these issues. He's seen it debated, and he's like yielded because he realized he doesn't have, he doesn't know much about the topic. So he yielded to a sheikh. Turns out the sheikh contradicted a bunch of the Dawah guys. So as I was pointing that out, they got more and more upset. Like, you guys don't even agree with your own sheikh. What are you guys doing here? Don't debate me, debate him. And they didn't like that. So Muslim Cowboy, yeah, he's heard these issues. He's heard me argue these issues. And he turned his head to a sheikh, and he ended up contradicting all his Dawah bros. So.
All right, guys. So we only have a couple minutes left because I have another live stream. I got a live stream with Hatsun at 8. So, but I got a poll going, and the question was: are there textual variants in different Qurans that affect the meaning of the Quran? And we just saw multiple examples. Whoever the 5% here are, I don't know what you were just watching. You could have people who are joking. Even more disturbing is people who. You will always have people who, it doesn't matter what the evidence is, they're just going to say what they were told to say. And that's even creepier. All right, let's check this out real quick. So here's Jai's meme. And then, Hey, check this out.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that funny. Guys, so Jai gives his meme there. Hafs, Warsh, Kaloon, and so on. And then you have a Muslim here responds, as a Muslim, I have never in my entire life heard of these books.
It's probably standard, actually. To be honest with you, it's probably standard.
Yeah.
In fact, there's like a historical kind of event like that's narrated sometime in like the Ottoman Empire, in the history of the Ottoman Empire. There was like a sheikh who was like reciting the Quran in one of the different books that I showed, like according to their way, and he was like say it like with the different words. And anyway, the common person was like laughing at it and making fun of it because they're like, that's not the Quran. Mm-hmm. So it's like this is like a very common thing. Like, the average Muslim just doesn't know about these differences.
Oh, you're so stupid. You think you're reciting the Quran, but it's different from what I've heard, you stupid dummy dumb.
Yeah, we actually have that story.
Yeah, but check this one out. So Sphere of Chaos here says, as a Muslim, I have never in my entire life heard of these books. Check this out. You are never a Muslim. This is an aspect Quran studies toddlers know. So you have here from the good Salafi. Even toddlers know this. I don't know what. Yeah, Quran studies. So look, Quran studies toddlers. So that's not actual toddlers. That's like students who are starting on the path of Quran studies. That's right. They would find out about this. Most Muslims would have no clue. And then Sphere of Chaos says, "Who are you to judge if I'm a Muslim or not?" He says, "You were, I mean, think he's saying you were never a Muslim. If you don't know about the different Qira'at, if you don't know about the different Qurans and so on, you're not even a Muslim. You've never been a Muslim."
What a joke.
That's pretty rough, isn't it? And
Because look at this guy who's a Muslim. Look what he says.
Yeah, look at Hajar here. In fact, they do not exist. Hafs and Warsh is the way you decide to read the Quran. Quran recitation. The words are always the same. Jai, are the words always the same?
No, we just saw multiple examples of literally Hafs and Warsh where they're not the same. Not the same at all. So,
Definitely were not the same words, and you still have people saying it. What's that mean, guys? They're just completely out of touch with reality. We'll just zoom through a couple more examples real quick. Look at this. These people are really jahil.
really
Translate that forever.
We're really ignorant.
Right? Yeah. These people are really ignorant. Ignorant for what? For pointing out that you guys say all these things are the exact same text, which is a lie?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Look at this, 15,000 likes. 15,000 likes for just saying, ha ha, they're dull. They're telling the truth. They're not telling our lie. Ayo here says, "Hey, Jai, your forefathers were about out of time. Let me go through this quickly. Your forefathers have tried more than this in the past, yet they failed. Yours won't be different. Your entire attack is built on..."
Forefathers pointed out that there's more than one Quran. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, when? Yeah.
Okay. They just like make up stories. They just like lie about it.
Yep. Your entire attack is built on an embarrassing category error. You are trying to compare the Christian theological concept of the Trinity to the phonetic dialects of a spoken language. So he's saying they're dialects. They're just phonetic dialects. No, they're not. Are you stupid? Let me help you a bit. Perhaps you may be guided. No, dude, I can already tell you are not the one to guide anyone here. Hafs, Warsh, Kalun, and the rest of those are names on the covers and not different Qurans. They are not authors. They are not authors neither. They are the names of the scholars who preserved the oral transmission of the Quran in the different dialects of the Arab tribes.
Those were not dialectal differences that we showed. I mean, by the way, amongst like the many variants, you could say this is a dialect one or whatever. But what we just showed, these are not dialects at all.
Yeah, that's not dialects, guys. It's not like you go to one dialect and they say, when they're talking about things, they say, "Oh yeah, the angel said, everyone go out except your wife." And then if you're talking in another dialect, you say the angel said, "Everyone go out, but don't look back except your wife." And it's just a difference. That's not what a difference in dialect is. No. And that's what's amazing. You'll have a guy write some long post and saying Jai is stupid and he just doesn't know it's different dialect when he's completely wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's what Islam does. It takes people who have completely false views, who are completely wrong, and convinces them that they're right. And that anyone who disagrees with them is stupid. Just insane. Anyway, guys, you can check out the post. There are tons of these. And I would encourage you guys to take screenshots of some of the examples that Jai shared. Just take a screenshot. Just pick one you like. Take a screenshot, go over there, go to any one of these guys, and just post a screenshot and say, "Okay, well, why does this one lead to a contradiction then?" Or is that quotation from Hafs, is that the exact same thing as the Warsh? Is that a difference in dialect? Just ask them the question and get them to respond. And we'll just finish with God Logic here because it's just such an awesome picture. So God Logic replied, "Sure, there are missing words between them, changes in meaning, even contradictions between them, but they're all from Allah." Look, I just love this picture. Look at that.
Look at
that. Avery's hilarious, man.
That's great.
Awesome times. Awesome times.
Nice background, too. He had a nice background in there.
Yep, nice. All right, guys. Last couple of super chats, and then we'll be out. But we're gonna be keeping up with this for a while, guys. So we're gonna have more to say about all this. And here's Ida, who got me to read a super sticker. Yep, gotcha. Hey, you both and everybody. Thank you.
Hey, Ida.
All Oh, no, the meme. So that was Road to Damascus when he said, I actually posted that on my page. The meme. That's good. Everyone should be
Oh,
posting.
nice.
Everyone should be posting the meme.
Nice, nice.
Me fail Arabic? That's impossible. Allah apparently used the Ralph Wiggum meme template for that. You just had you had another meme.
Another meme idea.
'Cause they always have Ralph Wiggum saying something like that. What? Me fail Arabic? Jai, please post the Warsh ruling in response. Then after some time, the feeding Thosra, those would get the Muslim to fraction and show that our differences.
Oh, okay. So like in that thread, I don't really know how it works on X, but like, so if I like, like what do you call it, quoted or something like that, and if I respond that way, or do I respond in the actual in the actual meme itself? I don't know, but yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, just kind of like respond to some of the things.
Yeah. So guys, so you can either post the meme yourself and get some reactions and then respond to them, or you can go to any one of our posts where we shared the meme. You can go to the post and then see who quoted it, see who responded it, see who quoted it, something like that, like quote tweeted it and so on. You could go to any one of those pages, and there are going to be Muslims flipping out and responding. It's just different dialects. And so you can either share this whole live stream, you can share clips of the live stream, you can share clips of other people who've gone through this, or you can take screenshots of individual variants and so on, and just ask them, really, guess what? It's going to be new information to them. If they still think it's just different dialects, and yeah, lots of people aren't going to care. Some will. If you all go out there and start sharing this with some of them will care. Some of them will realize that they've been lied to. And that's what makes it all worth it. Two more. Do these variances why some groups of Muslims hate other Muslims? Well, I mean, most of the time they're going with a different interpreter who's explaining meaning, because keep in mind, guys, the Quran is not clear, even though it brags about being clear, but you can go to a verse of the Quran, go to the commentary, and get 10, 12, 14 different meanings of it. And so, yep, they'll go with their scholar.
They do like weigh into legal differences. Like there's like 4 schools of jurisprudence, and sometimes they will actually differ based on the different Quran, or at least that will be like evidence for them in their position. Like, oh, well, this reading says it this way, or
Yep. And let's see, last one here. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. That's my jihad. That's funny. I'm going to start. Has anyone used that so far? That passage from the Apostle Paul, and then called it our jihad. We destroy arguments. That's actually cool. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal that, and I give no credit. I just steal stuff. I steal stuff and I use it myself. And we have here, does his wife turn to a pillar of salt in the Quran? If so, sounds like one punishes for disobedience and the other for obedience.
You don't have that in the Quran, no.
Yep. They're missing lots of stuff. All right, everyone, have to cut out now. I will be on Hatun's channel in about 2 minutes. Thanks to Jai for the awesome meme and for everything else that's going to happen this year. But thanks especially to the Muslims who let us know what a sore spot this is. So be talking to you guys soon. Catch y'all next time.